I'm alive today because of heroes like you. And if you're sitting there thinking, I'm not a hero, that makes sense because, you know, the way you describe yourself, I'm just a mum, I'm just a teacher, like we haven't got any capacity to change the world. And not only that, life's hard and you get challenges thrown at you every day. And some days, I don't know about you, but I feel like I can barely sort myself out, let alone anyone else. So it kind of makes sense just to keep your head down. But if I'm right, and you are a hero, then keeping your head down comes at a huge cost, and it has huge consequences. On the flip side, if you were just like 10% braver, then you could transform a life. So what does being a bit braver look like? Well, a few years ago, I was watching The Apprentice on TV, and what I should have been doing was writing some next steps for a school I was helping with spelling, but I got sucked into watching the candidates stuff up, making like simple tasks, but getting it totally wrong. And I started thinking, you know, if I went on The Apprentice, I would win. And then I could start a business and no child would ever leave school without the ability to read, write, and spell ever again. And that is a fantastic plan. So that's exactly what I did.
Sometimes it can be very difficult to put your finger on that moment when a candidate puts themselves in the firing. But no, for you it was right here.
So here's a curveball I'm going to send you right now. Ladies, who's going to be the project manager on this task?
I am. I had my hand up before I'd realised I'd volunteered.
Very brave. Very brave indeed.
So as you can see, I was brave, and it made no difference because I was fired at the end of the first week. But it kind of makes me a bit of an expert on failure, and that is what I do now. I travel around speaking at conferences on how to overcome failure and embed ambitious resilience, and that is what I thought I might do today. But today I want to tell you the true story behind The Apprentice, and it's the story of what happens when people just like you stand when a hero is needed. And growing up, I was one little girl that needed a hero. It took one woman and a handful of guys to create this family. You can all tell which one I am, yeah? They're like the good-looking one. And this is the only photo I have of all of us together, because when I was 8 years old, we were separated and put into care. By 8 years old, I'd been punched in the face. By 8 years old, I'd been forced to steal so I could eat. And by 8 years old, I'd been raped countless times. If it feels like I'm telling your story, I want you to know it's okay. You're safe with what I'm about to say because you know, and I know, that the real journey is repairing the damage to our sense of self. But I want to share this with you because I want to show you what's possible. And I mean what's possible from the point of view of a broken little girl who believes that she is completely worthless. Because this little girl went to school. And school meant everything to me. Everything. School is where I laughed. Specifically, I laughed at a teacher called Mr. Williams. Mr. Williams was under the impression that he was in charge of our class, which made it very difficult for us to get on. And he used to have this moustache, and he used to shout, and his moustache would dance, "I'm absolutely furious!" Now, like others, Mr. Williams asked me about my bruises, and I did what I always did and lied, but he leant into me and he said, "I think you're protecting someone. And what you need to know is that I'm here to protect you. I'm here to look out for you." I will never forget his face when I told him just a little bit of the truth, pained, like my words were causing him actual pain. And he didn't say anything, but he took me to the library, and I peeked through the window and I could see him outside. He was standing there with a cricket bat in one hand, and he was slapping it like this into the other. Now, I don't have any idea what he thought he was going to do with that bat, but he stood there until a social worker came. And it wasn't the rescue that had the impact on me. It wasn't the fact that in that library was the first time in my life I'd ever felt safe. It was the fact that he showed he cared, that he stood for me. Growing up in care and on the street is pretty hideous. But I was incredibly lucky. I had 4 more ordinary heroes show up in my life. And each one of them, and they all happened to be teachers, showed they cared by holding a vision of success for me. Mr. Williams stood outside a library. Mrs. Cook held my hand when she knew the fire alarm was going to go off. Mr. Simpson asked me how I was every single day and then waited for an answer. Miss Archer valued all of my ideas, even though a lot of them were borderline bonkers. And Mr. Redman, well, he just waited for me to try. And then he stood there and smiled the biggest, proudest smile. I mean, these seem like small things, but these 5 adults enabled a broken little girl to become me. They did more than that, actually. You know, because of them, because they believed in me, because they knew that they were human first and teacher second, it changed everything. You know, on my own, all I could see was darkness in my future. I had this recurring image in my head that I'd be dead by the time I was 40. But you know, those 5 adults had faith in me, and I wasn't going to give up on myself. So because of them, I blagged my way into university. My grades weren't great, but I finished school, and I got there, and I trained to be a teacher just like them. But even more, they gave me the opportunity to start considering something that I never dared dream was possible. Because they built a relationship with me, I started thinking I could do that with someone else. And what they gave me is incredible. They made it possible for me to believe I could and go on to have a family of my own. So, you know, this is success. This is it. Because I broke the cycle and I'm living the dream. My husband adores me. He's at the back, you can ask him. My kids are the most amazing human people on the planet. They are. And I just, you know, this is me thriving, isn't it? It's except for, I'm thriving, me, but I wasn't the only child in that photo. I suppose, you know, this really, it's about my brother. Because the real story behind The Apprentice is that in the middle of the week when that show aired, can you imagine all your friends and family finding out you're on that? My phone's blowing up with OMG texts the whole time. And I'm doing TV interviews and I'm having this glitzy, wonderful time of being a Z-list reality TV star. And in the middle of that, I had to go and identify my baby brother's body. Because he took a heroin overdose and died 4 weeks before his 40th birthday. After that, after, like, you know, the initial grief, I'm standing at the sink one day and I'm washing up and I feel like this welling come up inside me and I turn to my husband and say, I have to stop. I can't do this. This life, it's not enough. It's not enough. What's the point in me winning when everyone else is losing? There's kids out there now that need a hero and I have to do something because I couldn't save Paul, so I have to make it right. And stories without any heroes in it, they don't have happy endings. I wish that I could tell you that being a hero is easy. I wish I could say it didn't cost anything. But I punched and kicked Mr. Williams because he like dared to care about me. And I just could not accept that I was worthy of that. But he didn't wait for me to get it. He didn't need me to understand. He just stood. Because that's what heroes do. And that's why I decided to do this. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm standing here. Because change won't happen until your desire to make a difference is bigger and stronger and more powerful than your fear of trying. So please, stop doubting that you're a hero. And stop worrying that you haven't got what it takes. You are good enough. Every day I work with teachers who, they're crushed by our education system, and they think that they're just ordinary and not brilliant. And it, you know, it breaks my heart because that those heroes make a difference. And if you if you know that in your schools and in your workplaces, your friends, your family, this is their story. It's not just my story. The details might be different, but the struggle is the same. It's anyone's story who is afraid they might just be unlovable, and in their story, you're the hero. The hero is you. So go be a hero. And it doesn't matter if you don't feel ready, and it is totally okay if you're scared, but do it anyway. Because when you do, you can literally transform a life. Thank you. Oh my God!